Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming INSA President Suzanne Wilson Heckenberg.
Thank you, Stephanie. So good evening. I'm Suzanne Wilson Heckenberg, as Stephanie, our INSA intern looking for a job in the intelligence community, mentioned. I'm the president of INSA and the INSA Foundation. It brings me great joy to welcome you all to the 2026 Charlie Allen Achievement Awards. Tonight, we celebrate 6 exceptional individuals whose contributions exemplify excellence in intelligence, defense, homeland, and national security. I wanted to mention that Charlie had planned on being here with us this evening. He turned 91 yesterday. Last year, we celebrated his 90th birthday here in this room. And he sends his regrets. But also, before we begin, I would like to recognize INSA's Intelligence Champions Council. This dedicated group works throughout the year to support careers in intelligence and national security. And they have played a vital role in putting together this evening's program. A heartfelt thank you to the Council Chair, Colleen Ecker, and Vice Chair, Wayetta Morrow, for their service and support of these crucial awards. I also want to extend a warm welcome to the families and friends of our honorees. I believe we have a 2-year-old in the room named David. David, if you understand what I'm saying, raise your hand. The support of these families is the backbone of the success of the recipients, and we are so glad that you all are here to celebrate with us this evening. Also, a special welcome to our keynote speaker, Christine Bourdin. Christine, thank you for your leadership and support of the intelligence community workforce. Each of our achievement awards is named after a recipient of the INSA William Oliver Baker Award for Lifetime Achievement in Intelligence and National Security. We are honored to have 2 of these award namesakes with us tonight, the Honorable Joan Dempsey and Admiral Bill Studeman. Please join me in a round of applause. Joan and Bill, we're glad both of you all could join us this evening. We're also delighted to have Dr. Daniel Drell here to present the Science and Technology Award named in honor of his father, Dr. Cindy Drell. And I always look forward to this evening because I get to greet Dan. Thank you for being with us tonight. And a special thank you to former INSA presidents, my former bosses, the Honorable Ellen McCarthy, who will present the Richard Kerr Government Award, and Chuck Alsop, who will present the John Warner Homeland Security Award. Thank you, and thank you for hiring me many, many years ago. Finally, a sincere thank you to our event sponsors, AWS, Base 2 Solutions, Carasoft, Clearance Jobs, GDIT, Penn State Applied Research Laboratory, Peraton, SAIC, Salesforce, and Workday. And now it is my distinct pleasure to welcome Yvette Cesario, INSA Advisory Committee member and Managing Director, National Security for AWS, who will introduce our keynote speaker.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you, Suzanne, for the introduction, and thank you to the INSA team for all that you do for this amazing community. One of the greatest pleasures in my role at AWS is being able to take part in events like the Charlie Allen Achievement Awards, where our community recognizes the rising talent across this community. AWS shares this passion and pursuit of excellence and supporting our incredible workforce who are the future of our nation's security. Our keynote speaker tonight, Ms. Christine Bourdin, truly understands the journey of the professionals we are honoring this evening. Christine Bourdin's career spans more than 3 decades of service, beginning as a voice language analyst at the NSA and rising to senior roles at CIA, ODNI, and US Cyber Command. At the NSA, she established the collection management career field, providing a formal professional structure for the agency's analysts. Later, as the NSA's Director of Capability for Signals Intelligence, she led a workforce of over 14,000 personnel and managed the digital infrastructure and services essential to their mission. A recipient of the Presidential Rank Award, she has been a key driver in ensuring that technical capabilities are effectively delivered to the warfighter. And today, as the Deputy Director of the Defense Intelligence Agency, she helps lead an enterprise of over 16,500 professionals. Her presence here tonight underscores her longstanding commitment to developing this next generation of leaders. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Ms. Christine Bourdin.
Well, that was a lot more of an energetic welcome than I expected, so thank you so much. So it is truly an honor to be here tonight with you all. It's truly an honor to be able to be a part of this award ceremony. Thank you so much for that opportunity. And thank you, I'm grateful to INSA for the invitation, and particularly to Kate Tobin, Peggy O'Connor, and Amy Campbell for helping to help get me here and work through all the technical difficulties, a couple of furloughs, and some snow events, I believe, to make this happen, but we got here. So I also wanted to share that I had the opportunity to work for Charlie Allen briefly while I was assigned to the CIA as a contractor, so I did not have a senior role there. I just want to be very clear on that one. He was, at that time, the Assistant Deputy Director of Central Intelligence for Collection, and I was one of his SIGINT SMEs. During those times, it was really a privilege to be able to work with him and to be able to have an understanding of how he operated. One of the things that I really respected about Charlie, and that I respect about Charlie still, is that he's a continual learner. And I don't mean that in sort of the vague resume padding sort of way that we say sometimes. He truly was a continual learner. You would walk into his office and it was stuffed with books from floor to ceiling, all in his desk, stuffed into read bags to take home at night to try to digest and understand where collection was going and how to guide the overall collection architecture for the intelligence community. Periodically after hours, Charlie would invite a technical SME in to talk to him about where a particular intelligence discipline was heading. He would talk about the future of the technologies, the strengths, the weaknesses, how he should think about it as he was incorporating it into the work that he was doing. And he'd often ask for one of us on the staff to come and take notes while that happened. I had the opportunity to support one of those conversations, and I have to say it was a master class in collection in the field of intelligence collection. Watching Charlie, someone who already arguably knew more than most of us will ever understand about intelligence collection, sit there as a student and talk to somebody and pick their brain with genuine curiosity, listening to what they said, and then taking those conversations and weaving them into his decision calculus as he drove the intelligence community was really inspiring. The lesson I took away from that was very simple and profound, that no matter how much you think you know or how much of an expert you think you are, you always have more to learn in your given domain, and you have a responsibility to do that. That lesson really helped shape my career as I moved on, and it pushed me to keep learning, even when it's uncomfortable. Like, for example, setting aside years of authentic warnings in sci-fi movies about the dangers of AI, and working with an LLM to crowdsource some feedback that is going to factor into some of this speech tonight. So a couple weeks ago, in the spirit of Charlie's commitment to continual learning, I did something that felt equal parts terrifying and necessary. I reached out to several former coworkers and employees, and I asked them for some feedback. I asked them what's something I do well and what's something that I need to work on. So jokingly, I was calling it with them. I was texting back and forth over Signal, and I called it the good, the bad, the ugly. And as we had these conversations, I have to say that the responses were much kinder than the title I was using suggested. And then I used the AI to sort of take all that crowdsourced feedback and to synthesize it and to look for themes that emerged from those conversations. So what I thought I would do is kind of share some of those insights with you tonight. First and foremost, this exercise sort of reinforced something that's fundamental, and it's that leadership is a practice, not a destination. We're all works in progress as leaders, and all of the leaders that you admire, Charlie included, people in this room, me, you, we're all still learning how to be good leaders. We're all still learning how to push forward. It's a lot easier to talk about what you do well, so I'll start there, just so I pump myself up just a little bit. So first, presence matters a lot more than you think. Multiple people told me when we were chatting, I made them feel like they were the only person in the room, that I was truly focused, listening to the details, and being there with them. So here's the thing. I wasn't doing anything that was really remarkable in that sense. I was just creating space for them to be able to talk and to be able to hear what they had to say. There was no mental to-do list going on in my mind. There was nothing going on. It was just me and them having a conversation. I think the reason that this strikes people is that in our world of constant connection and competing demands, that kind of presence is rare but invaluable. People can tell when you're actively listening or when you're just waiting to talk. One person told me that they felt more like a colleague than a subordinate when we worked together. That meant the world to me, mostly because it was the kind of environment that I was striving to achieve, one that was based more on teamwork than hierarchy. The second thing that came out as a theme was trust as a starting point and not an end point. One of my former division chiefs said that I instinctively trust and then until trust is broken, instead of the other way around. I never really articulated that way, I never really thought of it that way, but he was right. I tend to assume the good intent, I tend to assume competence, and I assume that people want to do good work. And then I give them a chance to prove me right. Does that mean I've been burned before? Oh, 100%. But far more than that, most of the time, and more often than not, people rise to meet that trust. They take ownership of the issues, they bring solutions and not just problems. They feel empowered rather than micromanaged. Several people mentioned that they enter into a circle of trust with me that exists long after we stop working together, which is why they were willing to answer my text when I asked them to do this crazy thing with me. Third, calm is contagious, even when it's slightly fake. Several people mentioned that I stay calm under pressure, I'm unflappable. One person said I'm cool as a cucumber. Here's what I have to confess. I'm none of those things. On the inside, I've got a very different narrative going on in my head often. But I learned that how leaders show up in a crisis matters, and it helps take the temper down for everyone when you're able to stay calm. I've had to navigate my teams through tragedy more than once, the kind of unexpected loss that rocks everyone. In those moments, the teams needed to know that we could get through it together. They needed steadiness. They needed to know that it was going to be okay. So I worked hard to project calm when I'm struggling with my own grief and uncertainty. As a result, my teams in those events had stayed together, they functioned, they supported one another, and in the end, they thrived. So that external calm, even when you're not feeling it on the inside, is critically important and a gift to your team. And finally, I was told I can be both empathetic and demanding. People told me that I tend to meet people where they are, but I also can spot BS a mile away and provide candid feedback, even to people who've never received constructive criticism in the past. I deeply believe that holding people accountable is actually a kindness, and it's not incompatible with caring about them. In fact, I'd argue that challenging someone to do better, rather than just letting them settle for mediocrity, sets them up for long-term success, and not the opposite when you hold your feedback. The best leaders I've known have understood that balance. They expect excellence, and they support the human beings doing the work. It's a both and, not an either or. So, now some areas that I needed to improve. A part of exercise. So, there's a very clear theme that emerged. Maybe some of you might be able to relate to this. I take on too much. The feedback was pretty consistent. I said, you do the work of 3 people, you squeeze in too many meetings and in too little time. My commitment to accomplish the mission and deliver results while still developing and mentoring people places a lot of demands on me personally, but also on my staff who are trying to juggle my schedule. They call it Tetris often. One person said I never had enough time to really think as deeply as I wanted about planning and strategy because I was always dealing with the nearest alligator to the boat. Here's the kicker. I'm reading that feedback and I thought, well, yeah, but these things are important and they need to be done. So I kind of am proving their point with my thoughts on that one. The truth is my tendency to say yes to everything comes from a good place. But the impact is real. It burns me out. It makes me less effective as a leader and less effective in focusing on the things that matter the most. And it sets an unsustainable example for the team, one that if I'm not careful can bleed into the office culture. One of my former employees pointed out something that really landed. She said watching me protect my Mondays when my mother was terminally ill really sat with her. And it allowed her to have permission when her grandfather was terminally ill to do the same. She also pointed out that my calendar chaos, which she had to deal with at times, said a different message about boundaries and sustainability. And for you, Mary O'Brien, she said the mob plus Bourdain pairing was one of the best she ever worked with. So just a little feedback for you. So this is something I actively have to work on. I'd like to say that I'm getting better at this. I'd like to say that I'm getting better at saying no. I'd like to think I'm asking the question, is this the best use of my time? That I'm getting better at accepting that I can't do everything? But that is still a challenge for me and will remain a challenge for me. But I know this is true because the next two pieces of advice that I got sort of hit home on the impact of this. So I don't hide being drained very well. One person said, you're really emotionally intelligent enough to know when you're annoyed, but when you're tired, you can't hide it. Yeah. This one made me chuckle. I kind of joked back that, yeah, I really kind of suck at that. It's kind of like watching a cat fall off the ledge and trying to land and say, hey, I'm cool, and did anybody really see that? No, nothing to see. When it happens, it's an indicator to me that I need to step back and take a break. And if I'm able to do so, I do that. But if I'm not sure, it's entirely weakness, if I'm being honest. I'm not trying to justify the behavior. And yes, I'd like to have a better poker face than I do when I'm tired. But there's something to be said for leaders allowing themselves to be visibly human. There's a certain authenticity that's not being perfectly polished all the time. And let people see who you are is more effective than not. And let's face it, people know when you're phoning it in and you're being inauthentic. One more thing that came up is I can, when I'm tired, have strong initial reactions. While most of the time I'm pretty zen, everyone has a couple, a bad day. Sometimes I can come in way too hot when people make a mistake. I know that's natural. I know it's a human response. It shows that I'm passionate about my work and I'm passionate about the work that they do. Most of the time, I'm able to kind of dial myself back from that initial reaction and have the patience to allow the person to go and fix the mistake. I know that this is a gift I'm paying forward because when I would screw things up, I had a boss at NSA. When I screwed something up, a project that was pretty serious, he had a strong initial response, and then he told me to go fix it, which I did. He held me accountable for the problem, and he trusted me to go and repair it and to grow from it, which was really, really helpful. No one is perfect, and how a leader holds people accountable when emotions are running high can be the difference between successfully fixing that problem or digging a deeper hole. I'm not trying to brag about the good feedback that I got or be self-deprecating about some of the flaws that I still continually work. I just want to normalize something that's important for all of you as leaders. Leadership is a practice, not a destination. You're never going to truly arrive. Charlie, with all his experience and expertise, still had to invite in experts after hours and learn more. He was curious. He was still asking questions. He's still integrating new information in how he led. That's the model we should all follow. No matter our position, we should be students first. We should be embracing continual learning. We should have genuine curiosity. We should have the humility to ask for feedback, even when it's uncomfortable or not something we want to hear. And we should have the courage to work on those weak spots and the wisdom to keep building on our strengths. You all are here, you awardees are all here tonight because you have demonstrated leadership. You've taken on responsibility, you've made an impact. But I also hope you'll embrace the idea that you're not finished products and that none of us are exactly how we are gonna, and that's exactly how it should be because none of us are all finished projects. I really appreciate the opportunity to come and speak to you all. Thank you very much.
So we are recording this, right? Okay, so I think there's some go-backs for several of us and some lessons we could take from you. So thank you for that, Christine. So now let's move to the heart of the evening, the awards ceremony. We'll keep the presentations brief so that each of our recipients has a moment to share their thoughts. Without further ado, I invite Joan Dempsey to the stage to present the Joan A. Dempsey Mentorship Award.
Thank you, Suzanne. Good evening, everyone. Bill Studeman and I were talking earlier that INSA does a great job at putting on events, but this is far and away our favorite. To be able to spend time with all of you and acknowledge these 6 extraordinary intelligence and national security officers is just such a privilege. Obviously, this award carries a great deal of personal meaning to me. Also, I was interested in Deputy Director Bodine's comments because Charlie was my deputy for 5 years, and I would describe him in many, many ways, but none of them reflected what she talked about this evening. And you can all tell Charlie that when you see him again, which hopefully will be very soon. I miss Charlie very much. So this award in particular was created to help not just manage the mission today, but to invest in people who will lead the missions of tomorrow. And it's my personal honor and privilege to present this award to Nicole Griffin. Nicole currently serves as the acting director of the Threat Analysis Division within the Transportation Security Agency's Office of Intelligence and Analysis. A little bit of a job there. In this role, she leads a geographically dispersed workforce tasked with real-time threat identification and global incident management. It's a high-pressure environment where the unexpected is the only constant. In June 2025, Nicole was asked to step into the role of acting division chief without any notice. I'll let you figure out what that might have been about. Many would have simply focused on keeping the lights on, but Nicole did much more. She strengthened the mission, she elevated the quality of the analytics, and she fundamentally transformed the culture of her entire division. However, what truly distinguishes Nicole and what speaks so clearly to the spirit of this award is her vision for workforce development. She understands a truth that is close to my heart. Our greatest national security assets are not just our systems, but our people. She recognized that the operational expertise of our transportation security officers was a brilliant, untapped resource. She didn't wait for someone else to bridge that gap. She created programs to mentor and train those on the front lines, helping them transition into sophisticated intelligence analysts. And she saw the potential in the field and turned it into excellence in the office. Nicole's impact is best measured by the success of those she has championed. Through candid coaching and persistent advocacy for her team's well-being, she has opened doors across our community. Because of her, her mentees are now leading vital missions across DHS and the entire intelligence community. Nicole is not just protecting our nation today, she is building the workforce that will protect our nation in the future. For her extraordinary commitment to the next generation, and because of one line in her package that Mary Quinn, her boss, submitted, which said, Nicole can respectfully push back on leadership and remind them that they need to consider all perspectives when they make decisions, because she is the ultimate speak truth to power individual. It is my honor to present the 2026 Joan A. Dempsey Mentorship Award to Nicole Griffin. The podium is yours, Nicole.
All right. So first, I'd like to thank INSA for honoring me with this award, and to my former boss, Mary Quinn, for showing me such confidence in nominating me for it. So, like a lot of national security professionals of my generation, 9/11 was largely responsible for inspiring me to pursue a career in national security. I was a junior in college then, still unsure exactly what I wanted to do after graduation. For some in my generation, it was a pretty straight line from that moment to joining the military or the intelligence community. My own journey was a little bit more meandering. For me, the inexplicable horror of that day led to the revelation that there was a huge world out there that I didn't understand. I had just been outside the country for the first time that summer, and the combination of the positive experience of exploring Europe and the shock of 9/11 engendered a lifelong thirst to better understand different people and cultures and history and geopolitics and all the various forces that make the world go round. That passion led me overseas after graduation, to a master's in international affairs at George Washington, to defense contracting, and eventually to my natural home in the intelligence community. I started my federal career at the Office of Naval Intelligence in 2008 as a counter-narcotics analyst. This was during an era when DoD was still flush with counterterrorism funding, and that afforded me a lot of wonderful opportunities to travel. I was also fortunate to start my career working for and with some excellent leaders and mentors. I want to highlight above all Wanda Davis, who was supposed to be here tonight, but she was unable to make it, who has been both a friend and mentor to me from the earliest days of my federal career. From Wanda, I learned that the best mentorship comes naturally as an organic part of the everyday. Being available to those around you to provide advice and guidance, on-the-job training, and to challenge their thinking. From O&I served a 2.5-year detail at the National Counterterrorism Center, where I was blessed to serve under some superb leaders there as well, including Mr. John Doyen over there. After NCTC, I followed several of my former O&I colleagues, including Wanda and her husband, to TSA. The appeal of TSA for me at the time was that while it wasn't part of the intelligence community, still is not part of the intelligence community, it had a small intelligence shop that was then working to professionalize its intelligence analysis in line with the analytic tradecraft standards that the intelligence community had introduced in the 2000s. The challenge of being part of growing and developing an organization in that way really appealed to me, and it has been the product of the last 8 years of my career. The best and worst part of leading a small intelligence shop like my division at TSA is that we don't have the luxury of specialization. We analyze all threats to the transportation sector from any vector, physical, cyber, counterintelligence, both domestically and internationally. From our little corner of the national security community at TSA, my team and I have covered the Russian invasion of Ukraine, the aftermath of the October 7th attacks in Israel, and dozens of terrorist, cyber, and other national security threats, requiring us to constantly build and refresh our expertise. That intellectual challenge, requiring my team and I to constantly change and grow, is what keeps me energized about the mission almost 2 decades later. That college girl who is yearning to learn more about the world would be pleased with where my career has taken me, and I only hope that those with whom I've shared that career have enjoyed the journey alongside me. In closing, I want to thank all the leaders and mentors who have enriched my career and modeled what it means to be a true leader. Thank you again for this honor.
Congratulations, Nicole. And Mary, thank you for nominating her. So now it is my pleasure to introduce INSA's former president, Chuck Alsup, in a moment. Chuck worked very closely with Senator John Warner. He was a mentor and a friend, and we're delighted that Chuck can be here with us tonight. He witnessed up close and personal Senator Warner's unwavering commitment to our national and homeland security. But I want to also mention that Brent, our recipient, currently serves as the NCIS Task Force Officer assigned to FBI's Joint Terrorism Task Force, and Chuck is going to present the award. Thank you, Chuck.
Thank you, Suzanne. You stole a couple of my lines, but I'll forgive you for that. And Chris, thank you for your message. I think It's a great message, and it's great to be reminded about the power of we leadership. So thank you. One of the great honors of my life, as Suzanne mentioned, was working for and with Senator John Warner during his time as chairman of the Senate Armed Services Committee. I was able to witness up close and personal his unwavering commitment to our national and homeland security. It's now my great honor, on his behalf, to present the John W. Warner Homeland Security Award to Special Agent Brent Howlett. I'm also grateful. Not yet. I'm also grateful that Brent is joined here tonight by his father, Ron, his wife, Jamie. They are thinking they spared us the experience of Penelope, their 3-year-old. But I'm sure we all would have loved to have met her. This is such a wonderful family thing to have you guys here to support Brent. And also, Brent is joined by colleagues from NCIS and from the FBI. And you'll hear a little bit more about how that all works together here in just a second. So thank you all for being here. Thank you. So Brent currently serves as an NCIS task force officer assigned to the FBI's Joint Terrorism Task Force. In this role, he serves as a critical bridge between the Department of the Navy and the FBI. It is a high-stakes position, as you can imagine, that demands a level of judgment and professionalism far beyond his years. Brent has already proven his ability to lead complex interagency investigations that have direct implications for our national security. Most notably, he played an instrumental role in a joint investigation that led to the successful prosecution of an individual producing ricin, effectively mitigating a biological threat to the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency and the broader intelligence community. His impact doesn't stop there. Whether investigating violent extremism aimed at the Washington Navy Yard or providing vital force protection for the 2025 presidential inauguration, Brent is the one senior leadership seeks out. They look for him because of his composure and competence. They look for him because of his skill. But truly, what makes Brent a leader is his commitment to his team. And I think we go back to the leadership discussion earlier. So thanks for that. To his peers, Brent is the standard setter. He is the colleague who always has your back. He demonstrates every day that the true security is built on interagency collaboration and selfless service. He is exactly the kind of leader Senator John Warner admired. For his vital contributions to the security of the American homeland, it is my great honor to present the 2026 John W. Warner Award to Special Agent Brent Howlett.
As you can see, I was a little anxious to get up here, ready to get started. And now that I know that all the INSA interns want to get into the government, NCIS, it's exactly like the TV show. And so yeah, that's my daily job every day, so come on over to NCIS. Okay, I want to start by thanking Chuck for making it out tonight and saying those kind words about me, and the INSA committee for selecting me for the Warner Homeland Security Award. I'm truly honored. I want to give a special thanks to the NCIS Washington Field Office Senior Leadership Team, Special Agent Hannah Porterfield, you see right now, my Assistant Special Agent in Charge, Stephanie Bacchino, and then our rep to the NCIS National Joint Terrorism Task Force, Special Agent Casey Peterson. I also want to thank the FBI Supervised Special Agents Josh Williamson and Dave Gottlieb for being here tonight and allowing me to be part of the fantastic team we have at the Washington field office at the FBI. Lastly, I want to thank my wife and my father for the love and support and the simple replies. I love you, be safe, call me when you can. When I have to work long hours with a very limited explanation and they have no idea what I'm working on. Although I'm the individual receiving this award, this honors a much larger team. A team composed of various skill sets, capabilities, and life experiences. In short, it's our Team America. Being a task force officer, first in San Diego, now in our nation's capital, I've seen firsthand the incredible capabilities of our team and can truly say we all represent the best analytical, local, state, and federal law enforcement in our country. Like many of my colleagues on the JTTF, I began my career as a local police officer. I worked in my hometown of Richmond, Virginia, and had a great time making $38,000 a year. Maybe 41 with a little overtime. I decided to make the jump to the federal side, going to Secret Service for a brief time, before finding my home with NCIS. Although I was tricked into going to my first field offices. It's probably one of our toughest field offices, and I was tricked into going there. I'll give you a little tidbit about that for a second. So Hannah and everyone knows how that went, right? So when I first received my job offer at NCIS, I was actually on my lunch break at the White House. I was offered a GS-9 in San Diego, and I was told I have a report date, and I need to find my way there from DC. So I asked I accepted, but I asked if they had anything available on the East Coast, maybe something I could drive to from Washington, D.C. Then I heard complete silence. So I said, hey, by the way, I do accept the job, but do you have anything available on the East Coast? And the lady on the phone said, well, we do have Camp Lejeune. And I said, okay, where's Camp Lejeune? She was like, oh, it's in North Carolina, near Wilmington. Have you seen that show, Dawson's Creek? And I was like, yeah, I can't say I'm a fan, but yes, I am familiar with the show. She's like, yeah, it's near there. Okay, so I said, she's like, but I need to answer right now. So I didn't have time to research, and I did know Dawson's Creek was filmed in a nice little beach town. So I said, well, it has to be better in California, so I'll take that. She laughed and she said, okay, don't hang up. I said, okay. She says, I need to send you a new offer letter to acknowledge that you're turning down San Diego to go to Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. So I was a little taken back by that, but she sent the letter very quickly. It's the quickest part of my entire process of being hired as a special agent. And then I said, thank you for working with me on that. And she said, no, sir, thank you. and then she hung up the phone. I know she probably turned around to one of her colleagues in the office and said, hey, we got one. But in all seriousness, it was a great tour in Camp Lejeune. And since then, I've been assigned to our Middle East field office in Bahrain, our Southwest field office in San Diego. So eventually, I got assigned there anyway. Right? And then now here in Washington, D.C. And in less than 6 months, I'm taking a hardship out to Dubai. It's not a hardship. I'm going to work at the embassy in Dubai, or the consulate in Dubai, and I'm pretty excited about doing that. But through all the travel, I've been to 25 different countries with NCIS, and one thing I've come to realize is there are many beliefs about what homeland security actually means. And the only constant is the fact that homeland security efforts are consistently evolving as the threat evolves. So we must evolve with it. Whether the concern is a veteran who feels this is not the country he fought for and decides to take matters into his own hands, or that kid that is struggling at home or at school and finds solace online, potentially joining groups with violent ideas and extreme behavior. This affects all of us in one way or another, and that's why I remain in this field. Last week while I was getting ready to head out to work, my daughter asked, Dad, what do you do for work? I looked at her and I said, I protect you and make sure you're safe. She looked at me and said, can I watch Bluey? I said, ask your mom, I'll have to head out. But it made me smile and it reminded me why we all do this. We want a secure future for our family, our friends, and our country. In closing, awards such as this help shed light on some of the work we do to protect our country, and it's greatly appreciated. In short, thank you all for what you do. Thank you.
Thank you, Brent. And we all wish you the very best, you and your family, in this next chapter of your career in Dubai. Now, please welcome my colleague, INSA Executive Vice President John Doyen to the stage to present the Edwin H. Land Industry Award. John, over to you. I'm going to raise the mic right now because you're going to need it. Yeah, there you go.
Get this going here. Can you all hear me? Okay, great. Thanks, Suzanne. It's a great pleasure for me this evening to present this award, which celebrates the critical role of industry in advancing national security. Public-private collaboration is essential to ensure many tasks throughout the government, and including the one we're focused on this evening with this award recipient, which is advanced cyber defenses that are delivered at mission speed. Our recipient, Robert Robancho Jr., ensures that our operators maintain that decisive edge. Rob is a Deloitte contractor serving as the lead cyber intelligence analyst for Mission Delta 6, which is part of the Space Force. Rob has achieved a level of impact that is remarkable for this stage of his career. Rather than simply supporting existing operations, he fundamentally redesigned them. Rob spearheaded a hub-and-spoke intelligence model that now underpins the Space Force's persistent 24/7 defensive posture, an initiative that resulted in an impressive 400% increase in actionable cyber threat reporting. Beyond his technical accomplishments, Rob has prioritized the continuous development of his colleagues and those he works with. On his own initiative, he standardized analytic practices, reducing response timelines, and giving his colleagues the confidence to make faster, more confident decisions. He even secured 5 highly competitive advanced training opportunities to ensure that his peers were equipped with the highest possible qualifications. Rob's ability to combine technical ingenuity with this proactive investment in his team is what sets him apart as a leader in our community. For his outstanding contributions to our space and cyber missions, it's my honor to present the 2026 Edwin H. Land Award to Rob Ripciano. Rob, please join me on stage.
Definitely don't need it this high. Okay. Good evening, everyone. Thank you to INSA for this incredible honor, and thank you to the community of professionals gathered here tonight. I'm incredibly honored to be receiving an award named after Edwin Land. Edwin Land was more than just an inventor. He was a pioneer who believed that an essential aspect of creativity is not being afraid to fail. And in our community, that same spirit of bold, relentless curiosity is exactly what keeps our national security advantage sharp. And to be linked to his legacy is both a profound honor and a standard of excellence I strive to meet every day. That standard of excellence is only possible when you have a partner willing to let you push the boundaries. I'd like to spend a moment specifically thanking my nominator, Lieutenant Colonel William Cosgrove, Mission Delta 6, 66 Cyber Squadron Commander. In the world of government contracting, we often talk about supporting the mission, but true partnership goes much deeper. Thank you for including me in the hard conversations, for trusting me with your most complex analytical hurdles, and for providing a high-stakes environment in which we weren't just expected to deliver. We were encouraged to innovate, decide, and by your orders, violently execute. Your mentorship and your unwavering belief in the team's approach have been the primary drivers of my growth, and this award is as much a testament to your leadership as it is to my work. That same spirit of partnership has been championed by my leadership at Deloitte. And in an industry often defined by traditional roles, Deloitte has provided me with the platform and the autonomy to bridge the gap between private sector innovation and the tactical edge of national security. And to be the first at the firm to receive this honor is a milestone that I don't take lightly. It is a testament to our commitment to not just consulting on the mission, but becoming an integral, reliable part of its success. Even with the best platforms and the strongest partnerships, mission impact is ultimately a collective effort. And while my name is on this plaque, I want to be very clear. I am only as innovative and effective as the people that I'm privileged to lead. To my two teammates, Michael Harder and Shakiva Jones, thank you for being the ones who challenge my assumptions, who provide the critical second look at every obstacle, and who remain focused on the objective when the pressure is highest. You've taught me that true leadership isn't about being the smartest person in the room. It's about creating a room where everyone is empowered to be their best. And this award validates our internal culture of trust. We have proven that a small, agile team can produce outsized results for national security, and I am honored to share this recognition with you. Finally, there is a reason we all strive for a secure future. I'd like to thank my two sons. They might not understand the complexities of our work yet, but they are my reason why the work that we all do here is so vital. Thank you again to INSA for this honor, and thank you to my achievement peers. It truly is an honor to be here. And to everybody else, let's continue to be unafraid to fail so that our nation never has to. Thank you.
Congratulations, Rob, and thank you, John. It's now my pleasure to welcome Dr. Dan Drell to the stage to present the Sidney D. Drell Science and Technology Award.
Thank you, Suzanne. As I've said before, and I will continue to say, it's just always a special privilege to be here to present the Sidney D. Drell Science and Technology Award. But before touching on this year's honoree and her work, I want to add my congratulations to all of the other of tonight's awardees, and to thank you for the work you have done and are continuing to do for our nation. I also want to make sure I add my gratitude to INSA for its membership and staff for their hard work every year, much of it behind the scenes, to organize and put on this wonderful evening. Suzanne, thank you, and to your team. So, this honor recognizes exceptional early career scientists and technologists who share my father's commitment to applying rigorous scientific inquiry to the most pressing challenges of national security. Never has this been more important than in these complicated and fraught times. Tonight's awardee, Sarah Adams, is an exceptional example of that mission in action. Since joining the Johns Hopkins Applied Physics Laboratory in 2020, she's achieved breakthroughs that are fundamentally redefining how we secure and scale our most advanced computational systems. obviously a topic of a lot of activity right now. As program manager for alternative computing paradigms, Sarah leads a forward-looking portfolio ranging from quantum information science to neuromimetic architectures. Her work is where high-level research meets real-world application, ensuring that our nation can process information securely and efficiently in support of critical defense missions. Notably, Sarah led the DARPA-supported Postures project, where her team produced the first fully aerosol jet-printed optical waveguides. Now, if you're a little vague on what that means, so am I. By extending additive manufacturing, which is a form of 3D printing, into the field of photonics, Sarah has enabled the rapid prototyping of resilient, mission-tailored microsystems capable of operating in the most demanding environments. Beyond the lab, Sarah is a deeply respected mentor, and I have to interject that the comments of Deputy Director Bourdin resonated deeply because I think they apply to all of us at all times. Sarah is known for fostering interdisciplinary partnerships and investing her time in the development of next-generation scientists and engineers, ensuring that technical excellence is always matched by a commitment to integrity. For her vision, her scientific rigor, and her vital contributions to our nation's security enterprise, it is my honor to present the 2026 Sidney Drell Award to Sarah Adams. Sarah.
Thank you, Dr. Drell, and thank you to INSA. I'm really, truly honored to receive the Sidney D. Drell Science and Technology Award. When I received the notification of this award, it was during an especially tough week at work, one of those weeks where everything seems to be falling apart and progress seems impossible, and in that moment, the email notification felt surreal. I know this is on the record, but I'll go ahead and admit it, I cried. And you know, like the previous recipients of this award and the other awardees here tonight, our work can sometimes feel like the Greek myth of Sisyphus. We are, pushing a heavy boulder up a steep hill, only to have to begin again the next day, and it feels like sometimes it can never end. There's a toil to work in intelligence and national security that can feel endless because the challenges in national security don't stay solved. We navigate uncertainty, we navigate ambiguity and constraints, and we make personal and professional sacrifices all along the way. And yet, we continue. Because the stakes are a lot larger than any one mission or any one research project. We're doing all of this in support of our nation. And Sidney Drell really understood and embodied this tension. He was not only a brilliant theoretical physicist, but also a steward of science in service of national security. He operated at that boundary between deep technical rigor and profound national responsibility. His career reminds us that progress in consequential domains is rarely linear and requires persistence, intellectual honesty, and a willingness to wrestle with hard problems whose solutions may unfold over decades. And that perspective really reclaims the climb up this hill for me. Perhaps I only feel like Sisyphus if I imagine that the goal is to leave that boulder atop the hill. But maybe that was never the point. Every time we push, we reshape the terrain. We smooth that path, and we leave behind the infrastructure, insight, and little seeds of courage for those who are coming behind us. That is the part of our work that gives me the greatest sense of purpose. In research, our breakthroughs are often incremental, but the influence on people around us can be exponential. Every time we create space for a peer or a colleague to take a risk, every time we model integrity in the face of uncertainty, and every time we show rigor and humility can coexist, we're cultivating that next generation of national security leaders. And mentorship is one of the most meaningful forms of national service. Scientific excellence and national responsibility are inseparable, a legacy, by the way, Dr. Drell modeled throughout his career. And the technologies and missions that we advance matter enormously, but the people that we develop, their judgment, their values, their courage, will continue to shape the decisions that define the future of our nation. And so if we're thoughtful about that responsibility of mentorship, even the hardest weeks, and especially the hardest weeks, take on a different meaning. And I've been exceptionally fortunate to benefit from colleagues and mentors who embody that same commitment and who have smoothed my path long before I realized that's what they were doing. Some of them are not here tonight. Dr. Jeff Moranchi nominated me for this award and has selflessly served as a steady sounding board as my career has evolved, guiding me through more than a few boulders. Robert Arminger and Andrew Merkel have given me a lifetime's worth of advice and perspective and had made themselves available at a moment's notice. I also would be remiss to not acknowledge the larger teams that I work with. Their brilliance and persistence and creativity are what makes the work that I do possible. And of course, I wouldn't have made it through the last year without Dr. Kevin Schultz, who's been on this hill with me pushing a boulder every day. There are a few people who are here tonight. Dr. Joan Hoffman, you have advocated for me, taken risks for me, and set a standard for leadership that I aspire to every day, and there aren't words to thank you. Dr. Brian Jacobs, you invested in a crazy idea that I had a few years ago that has really shaped my career. And along that path, you gave me some, we'll call it candid feedback. And I can't say enough how much I value the time we spent working together. And finally, to my partner, Justin, for 15 years, you have encouraged me and supported and grounded me. You've tolerated a lot of long hours and vaguely worded occasional kitchen counter diatribes about the day's toils that I can't really explain. I love you. Thank you for everything. And to my fellow awardees, congratulations. Your accomplishments are really amazing, and it's inspiring to see so many dedicated and talented national security professions. And of course, INSA, this is an incredible event. I'm grateful for this honor. I accept it as encouragement to keep pushing thoughtfully and collaboratively and in service of something larger than ourselves, the generation climbing behind us. Thank you.
Congratulations, Sarah and Dan. Thank you for being with us yet again this year to take the time to recognize Sarah this evening. That was terrific. And it is now my pleasure to welcome the Honorable Ellen McCarthy to the stage to present the Richard J. Kerr Government Award. During her tenure as INSA president, Ellen conceived of the Achievement Awards. She talked about how we give out the William Oliver Baker Award, save the date, May 30th, but that we need to recognize the future Baker awardees. And I'm proud to say, because of her vision, we are all here tonight celebrating these awardees. I will turn the stage over to Ellen to present the next award.
Thank you, Suzanne, and good evening, everybody. It's such a pleasure to be here. And Suzanne, I can't believe it's been 13 years. I mean, that's crazy. It really, as Suzanne mentioned, the whole concept of the Baker Awards was to recognize rising leaders. I'm confident that we've got a Baker Award nominee sitting out here right now, based on what I'm hearing you've accomplished in this very short period of your career. I'm shocked. I mean, it just speaks to the depth of talent that we have in this community. You know, I've also got to mention Richard Kerr. It's my incredible honor to be asked to step in for him. Those are shoes, though, that I just can't fill. It's very bittersweet. He passed away almost a year ago this month. I promise you, if he were alive today, he would absolutely be here, just like the other awardee names are here. He was here for almost everyone that he could be here for. So I'm not going to pretend to be Richard Kerr. Just for those of you who may not know him, just a little word, he dedicated his career to strengthening analytic rigor and ensuring that intelligence could inform decisions at the highest levels, at the highest standards that actually continue today. And he did this with such incredible kindness and humility. And as I listened to all the awardees tell their story, I'm just so struck by not only are you just incredibly good at what you do, but you're also incredibly kind and incredibly humble. This award recognizes innovation, mission impact, and a commitment to strengthening the institutions that keep our nation secure. And this year's recipient absolutely embodies those qualities. So Alexander Bramson is an intelligence analyst with the FBI. And his accomplishment that is recognized tonight amongst many, but the one that we're talking about specifically, is how he transformed how the Bureau analyzes and communicates its collection enterprise, turning a very complex, time-intensive process into very clear, actionable insight for senior leaders. That's what we do. What I love about his story is that he wasn't told to do this. It was actually his idea. He saw that it needed to be done. He got approval for it, and then he went and did it. And I gotta tell you, that's what I love about this community, about the intelligence community, something that I don't think everybody understands. You really can do anything. So you don't have to be limited by a job description. If you have a great idea, you can pitch it and then do it. And that's exactly what he did. Through standardized processes and scalable tools, he drove a threefold increase in analytic productivity. And that improvement proved to be incredibly helpful as we went through another transition in administrations. And for those of you who've been around a while, you know how difficult that is to bring in new teams and get them ready to operate right away. And that's exactly what his process did. What I love about his story, though, just as he's technically pretty good at what he does, he's also known around town as a player coach. He leads an FBI community of interest with more than 600 members. He's served as an acting supervisor, and he contributes to an ICY task force on global competition. And across all of this, he models rigor, integrity, and professionalism. So for his exceptional service in advancing how we deliver timely, trusted insight to decision makers in an increasingly complex threat environment, it's my honor to present the 2026 Richard J. Kerr Award to Alexander Bramson. Coach, come on.
Thank you, everyone, for being here tonight. Thank you especially to INSA for putting on this event and for selecting me for this award. I'd like to give a special thanks also to my supervisor, Supervisory Intel Analyst Kiana Gross, who's here this evening, for nominating me for this award. Like so many of my generation in the Intel community, I was deeply affected by the events of 9/11, some probably more than most because I grew up not far from here. On that morning, me and my fellow students a lot of us wondered if our parents were still alive at the end of the day. And that, in combination with reading far too many spy novels as a kid, meant that I knew that what I wanted to do was join the Intel community, and so when the FBI came calling and when I was in college, I was happy to respond to the call. I joined the Bureau 14 years ago and began my career in New York working intelligence collection and counterintelligence matters. And for the past 5 years, I've had the pleasure of working in the Directorate of Intelligence here in Washington. Because brevity is considered the highest compliment in our profession, I will endeavor to remain brief, but what I'd like to do is thank all of the people who've made this possible. Nothing in our industry is a team of one, and so I'd like to thank my colleagues and my supervisors and my unit chiefs who over the years have been willing to put up with whatever harebrained scheme I have come up with to try and drive innovation at the Bureau. In the 14 years that I've worked at the FBI, I've always been impressed by what I've found is the Bureau's willingness to innovate and do better and get better at every turn. And this award is for a initiative in that vein. I'd also like to thank my executive management, who've also always been champions of that innovation, especially my deputy assistant director, who unfortunately was not able to join us this evening, and to my family, friends, my partner Elizabeth, who have kept me sane outside of work and kept me grounded. To all of those, my team, my executives, my leadership, and my family and friends, thanks very much.
Congratulations, Alex, and thank you, Ellen, for presenting the award. It is now my pleasure to welcome to the stage Admiral Bill Studeman, who will present this evening's military award.
I stood up and slipped on the program. Must be so. Let me just say a couple of words first before I recognize my awardee. I think I need to recognize his son first in the back, 2-year-old David. He's been really very good. There he is, standing up. And I think David learned that you could make an entire meal out of salad croutons tonight. So welcome. I would also like to, again, thank INSA for the long run of these achievement awards, and also Ellen, who came up with the idea. I have to say that having been at virtually all of these awards as a presenter, but also an attendee, that it is really one of the most uplifting events I attend in Washington. The stories, the comments by the awardees, their resumes and CVs and accomplishments are really, truly amazing. I would also like to say a couple of words about Charlie Allen. Charlie Allen and I are almost the same age. We're colleagues that go way, way, way back. Charlie is unable to be with us tonight, but one characteristic of Charlie Allen, which I think all who know him would say is true, is Charlie's relentlessness. Charlie is one of the most truly long time, long work a day, relentless people that I've ever known. And so I wish Charlie, as he deals with his current health issues, a certain amount of relentless recovery. I understand he's doing well in his treatment after, and so we're sorry that he can't be here tonight. My family and I go back a long way. My son was a White House fellow, worked for Charlie directly in the Homeland Security Department when Charlie was the Director of Intelligence and Homeland Security. So, I got Suzanne's page. So it's my distinct honor to be here tonight to present the William O. Studeman Award, which recognizes exceptional early to mid-career military professionals who combine technical mastery with the principled leadership required to strengthen our national security. U.S. Air Force Major Alan Friedlander, reflects these values through his distinguished track record of service. He's a key member of, going through the alphabet soup all the way down through the organizational aspects of his work down to the White House Communications Agency. His boss also is here with us tonight. I thank you very much for coming, Colonel Childs. As a key member of that organization, he played a central role in delivering assured global communications for strategic government or operations, as you can well imagine. Whether serving as a site lead for high visibility missions or directing force development, Alan has transformed critical functions into modern, mission-ready enterprises. Under his leadership, his organization, Training Academy, achieved a 98% security plus pass rate, exceeding the national average by 17%. His leadership during crises has proved indispensable. While assigned to the Joint Staff J2, Alan synchronized interagency partners during Operation Allies Refuge and Allies Welcome, enabling the historic airlift of more than 124,000 civilians and the safe retrograde of U.S. forces from Afghanistan. No mean feat, by the way, even though it gets criticized heavily. Beyond these operations, Alan is deeply committed to his people. He revitalized the Guard and Reserve hiring program, increasing applications by 200%, and has fostered a culture of service members across both the intelligence and the cyber disciplines. By pairing operational excellence with a genuine investment in his people, Alan has strengthened our nation's intelligence capability and built a more resilient force. For his outstanding leadership and his dedication to our national security, it is my great honor to present the 2026 William O. Studeman Award to Major Alan Friedlander. So Alan, could I ask you to do?
Good evening. Admiral Studeman, distinguished members of INSA, leaders of our intelligence community, partners from across government and industry, and fellow patriots. Thank you for this profound honor. To receive an award bearing the name of Admiral Studeman is to be measured against a standard that is truly humbling. As NSA Director and CIA Deputy Director, he led at the apex of American intelligence through moments when our national security depended on decisions of enormous consequence made by people in quiet rooms whose names would never appear in headlines. He demonstrated that strategic leadership in intelligence requires not only mastery of technology and tradecraft, but moral courage, humility, and an unwavering commitment to the United States Constitution, to which we all swear to defend. It is a tremendous privilege to have the opportunity to speak with you all tonight, and I want to take a moment to thank some special guests in the audience who have played an instrumental role in my development as a professional in the intelligence operations, cyber warfare, and foreign area officer fields. First, Colonel Childs, thank you for your technical brilliance and visionary leadership. You are a once-in-a-generation mentor and trailblazer, the right person at the right place at the right time. The trust and confidence you have placed in me to engage some of our unit's most complex, high-impact, high-visibility operations as IMA, or Individual Mobilization Augmentee to the Commander, the Senior Reservist, is a responsibility that I continue to treat with the utmost seriousness. Mr. Jackson, thank you for your kindness and wisdom as Assistant Director throughout my previous assignment at the Defense Technology Security Administration. The scale and scope of work performed by your team to deny adversaries of dual-use technologies and preserve U.S. military overmatch was truly eye-opening. To my intelligence operations and foreign area officer career field mentors, Colonel Murray and Lieutenant Colonel Conkler, thank you for challenging me to be more creative when advancing the mission and vision of our professions. for investing in me when you had nothing to gain, and for telling me hard truths when it would have been easier to stay silent. Major Hill and Eileen, I know I've only known you for a short period of time, but thank you for being here tonight, and congrats on your engagement. Most importantly, I want to thank my amazing, beautiful wife, Eleanor. For over a decade, you have stood shoulder to shoulder with me against seemingly insurmountable odds. Whether it was 12-hour shifts, phone calls in the middle of the night, short notice deployments, you have always been a shining star and source of encouragement. I love you more than words can describe, and I know that we stand at the precipice of a bright future. To our son David, my Superman, you embody all of my hopes and dreams. My goal is for you to one day look back and say, I'm proud of my father. He stood for something. He fought for ideals. He defended our nation, and he will never back down. And we will all be here to cheer you on as you forge your own path. I love you, buddy. Since reintegrating into the Air Force in 2017, I have been somewhat of an evangelist for increased cooperation between our intelligence and cyber communities. Modern warfare's first maneuver now takes place in cyberspace, where adversaries probe, infiltrate, and disrupt networks before conventional forces ever make a first move. A fragment of malicious code can hold a hospital at risk. A spoof signal can misdirect a weapon, and a coordinated influence campaign can turn a free people against themselves. Ladies and gentlemen, in this battle space, intelligence operations and cyber are no longer restricted to being supporting lines of effort. They are the first lines of deterrence, defense, and offense. Nevertheless, the task remains the same: to ensure that when the president, a combatant commander, or a senior leader asks what is happening and what can we do, that the answer arrives at the speed of relevance, grounded in truth, and aligned with our laws and values. The tools at our disposal are more powerful than at any point in human history. We can see farther, sense deeper, and act faster than any adversary America has ever faced. The authorities entrusted to us to collect foreign intelligence, conduct cyber operations, disrupt hostile networks exist only because a free people decided that they are necessary for their security. However, that trust is not permanent. It must be earned day after day through disciplined oversight, rigorous adherence to law, and a culture that values integrity above convenience. Admiral Studeman understood that the legitimacy of American intelligence is as decisive as its capability. He understood that if we win every tactical engagement but lose the confidence of the American people, we will have failed at the strategic level that matters most. Another defining feature of this era is that no single service or agency can secure the domain in which we fight. The enemy does not respect our military networks, private sector infrastructure, platforms for civic discourse, physical borders or digital boundaries, and many can attack all at once. Likewise, the victories that led to this award recognition do not belong to one individual or unit. They belong to joint teams who fused collection, analysis, operations, and intelligence policy into a single coherent effort. Analysts and operators from different services, civilians from across the intelligence community, engineers and innovators from industry, all brought to bear their unique strengths against complex adaptive threats to our American way of life. The lesson is clear. The age of isolated stovepipes should remain relegated to the history books. The future remains and belongs to integrated, mission-focused teams that share risk, credit, and a commitment to getting it right the first time. As I accept the William L. Studeman Award, I do so not as a culmination, but as a charge. The threats we face will grow more sophisticated, the tempo more unrelenting, the consequences of failure more severe. Yet there can be no doubt about the outcome if we remain resilient and united in purpose as seekers and purveyors of truth. We will meet our adversaries in every domain, in air, on land, in sea, and space. We will adapt faster, think more clearly, and act more honorably than those who would do our nation harm. And we will do so anchored in the same principles that guided Admiral Studeman: fidelity to the mission, loyalty to our teammates, and devotion to the United States Constitution that is larger than any one of us. Thank you, INSA, for this extraordinary honor, and congratulations to my fellow award winners. May we prove worthy of the trust you have placed in us, today, in the long nights ahead, and in unseen battles yet to come. God bless you all.
Congratulations, Major Friedlander. And Bill, thank you for being here to present the award this evening. Before we head on to the dessert reception, I want to extend our deepest gratitude to those who made this evening special. First, to our keynote speaker, Christine Bourdin, for sharing her evening and her insights with us. To Charlie Allen, who could not be here with us this evening. And I also want to thank all of our distinguished award presenters for joining us to celebrate these rising leaders. Most importantly, to our award recipients and your families, thank you for your extraordinary service and for the sacrifice you make every day in the interest of national security. And a special thank you to our sponsors who believe in the future leaders of the intelligence community: AWS, Base 2 Solutions, Carasoft, Clearance Jobs, GDIT, Penn State Applied Research Laboratory, Peraton, SAIC, Salesforce, and Workday. Now, as we head into the reception, I ask that Christine and the award recipients please join me on stage for a few photos, and please enjoy the dessert reception brought to you by Carasoft and the flowers brought to you by Clearance Jobs. Feel free to take them home with you this evening. Thanks again to everybody.
Good job.